Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing today? It's a nice day out. It looks like it's about to get to rain out here. But it has been a beautiful day out today. We're just kind of waiting for some people to jump on. See everybody out there. Say hello. Give us a shout. While we're kind of waiting, I'm just going to go over and oil this down a little bit. So we do want to oil our machines. And right here under the motor, this brass bowl, we're going to put about 8 to 10 drops in here. And we want to oil our machine about every 8 hours is what we want. Of quilting time, that is. So right here, we're going to stick a drop in here, just kind of wipe it off. People still jumping on there before we get to going here. Here's an oiling port up here. This little BB, we just push it down and fill it up with oil. About 1 drop's all you can get in there. We're going to put 3 drops in each one of these here. Keep the wicks wet. 1 drop down here. Push the BB down and get 1 drop in there. Take your bobbin case out. We're going to put 1 drop in here and just give it some movement there to get it all back in there. And we want to do that about every 8 hours of quilting. Most people may only be quilting about 1 to 2 hours a day. That's not standing here at our machine, that's machine actually running. So, we are Gamble Midwest. We're glad to see you all here. We've oiled it. What I'm going to talk to you today about is where thread likes to hide on our machine. It gives us a fit. Usually we will get phone calls, tech will get phone calls about on a Statler, computerized, whether it be the Elevate or the Statler. We're doing it edge to edge, and we come to the end of our row, and we roll our quilt up and hit continue, and whenever it starts, we're not lined up. It is on the screen, but it comes over to the edge of our quilt and we're off. I have heard people say as much as 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and they're having to adjust everything over it. So the first thing that we're going to tell you to do is to look at the pulleys on your belts. And we're talking about the belts on our table and on our cross track. If pulley gets in there, if thread gets in behind our pulleys, it can cause this. So the first thing is we have a pulley here on the cross track, and there's one at the very back. And what we want to do is, instead of looking under there, get your screwdrivers out and just take this cover off. And we want to look here. Oh, and I see just a little bit of thread in here. And we want to get that out. So get your pulley, get some tweezers and try to pull that out. You can also, on the bottom, there's a nut on some of them. They all come off in different ways. This one, I take the nut off of the bottom, and then I can undo it here. And that allows my pulley to come off, and then I can get my thread off of here. This is the best way. Some of them will have a set screw in here, and you undo the set screw and it comes up. You just have to get yours the correct way. Then we can set this back on. Make sure and don't cross thread your threads. Get it back on there, and this is a lock nut on the bottom. So once you get your bolt tight, then put your lock nut. And I had that loose, so you'll have to use the correct tools to get it on. This is a little harder to get on, but if you get your spacer on there and set it down, you can feel it in the hole there. This one, make sure your spacer is on there. Get it in the hole, and you can tighten them up. Your back cover is going to come off virtually one of the same ways that I just talked to you about. And make sure and check both of them that same way. Once we get them checked out, then we're going to go to our ends. We want to undo our belt. So in undoing our belt, we can undo it here, drop this out, and that's how we disconnect our belts to do free motion. Don't forget to connect them back up. On our side, it's right here. We can undo this one and drop that back. It may be best to do them right off the bat. So I've got this, because what I'm going to do here is I want to take this cover here off to check this pulley. So I look in here and I don't see any thread down in there, but I'm going to take and just roll this belt off. Pull it over and roll. Now I can make sure everything's there, and it frees my belt up. I don't have any problem there, but it frees my belt up so I can come down here and check this other end. So down here, we need to move out of the way. Anything that we have in the way here. We want to take this cover off. A lot of times we just try to look in the hole, and no, we don't see anything. Get in the habit of taking these covers off, because it will show a lot more than you think. They're not that hard to take off. So we got our cover off, and I don't see any thread in behind that pulley at all. But I want to remove this. Oh my, look at that right there. Now that's what we're talking about. See how that thread gets caught around that? So we've got to get that. That's just a mess right there. That will give us all kinds of problems, and it gets in there where we can't even see it. And it does it so quickly. So once we get all of that out, now we're good. And that could really help us out right there. If we were having a problem like that, this is one thing that we find the most of, is right in there. If we're very good about keeping our machines clean and our thread picked up and not just throwing it around, we have a lot less problem. But if that thread gets to draping around and hanging off the back of our quilt, and that belt grabs that thread, and it just will run down the belt until it gets inside. And that's what we're going to have one of these days. And it gives us a lot of grief, and we try to blame the software or something happening, but generally that is what we find. So we put our belt back on. So now we got that cover back. We want to make sure everything's straight here. I've got to make sure that my connector is straight. I'm going to come down here. If my belt was a little bit loose, now would be the time to loosen it here and tighten it just a little bit, because a little bit goes a long ways here. And then we can just slide it over here and roll it back on. This is going to be a little bit tough, but that's the best way to do it. Get this in the middle, and it's going to just kind of dangle there. If we get it way too tight, it's going to be really hard to get on there. This will be standing straight up, and that's just way too tight. This shows us that there's a little bit of looseness. I can feel a little bit of looseness in there, but there's no play in it. It's not sagging way down on each other. We want to connect it back up. Make sure this one's connected. And then we want to put our cover here back on. So after we get that much done, another place that we want to check out, this is going to mess with our tension on our bobbin and top tension. It'll make our stitching look bad. Take your bobbin case out. Make sure inside your bobbin case is very clean. That will give us a lot of problems. But this is an overlooked area right here. But in this hook assembly, back here along this post, if around here is anything that moves, a lot of times it'll look black and it looks like it's supposed to go there. But I can get back in there and I'll move it around and I'll see something move. If something moves there, get it out, because there's nothing there that moves. It's all metal, and the littlest thing in there, when we put our bobbin case in, that's going to change our bobbin tension. So here's some pictures that we have down here on the table of places where thread has gotten and we've dug out before. Here it can get in from our take-up lever and get around our top shaft. It will lock up the machine if it gets bad enough. Them are things we don't want to happen. Here is one on the cross track where I took the pulley up and it was just packed with thread. We dug all this out and couldn't get it dug out and took it off, and that's what it was. So that thread can play an important part. I hope everybody has been having a good time off. We're glad that this coronavirus is about done. We can all go back to normal here. Thank you for joining us. Gamel's having their virtual quilt show. Be sure and check it out. Don't forget that. It's been good visiting with everybody and seeing everybody. Let us know what you think about these videos. We'll see y'all later. Thanks so much.